This is how we begin to program our Raspberry Pi robot, our MR8 robot, on the interface. So we're basically going to start with the Raspberry Pi button in the top corner and go to programming, and we're going to open a Python 3 in idle. The Python 3 in idle will open up a kind of terminal screen or a shell, and we can basically run Python through this shell, and Python works as an interpreter. It can take a little bit of time for the Raspberry Pi Zero, in this case, to open Python shell. And I'm going to drag it across to this right hand side over here, just so that it's off on the edge. I'm now going to go File and New File and create a new Raspberry Pi Python script over here. I'm going to write a few tags that we're going to do in the first session, and you use the hash symbol to make these as comments so that the interpreter ignores them. And the first thing we're going to do is set up Python to accept the GPIO control commands. The second thing we're going to do is we're going to set up, I'll put a space in there to be consistent, we're going to set up our GPIO channels in this section here. And the third thing we're going to do is create our GPIO test area. And just to be sure, I'm going to put the words begin here. So I'm going to begin it. I'm going to edit and copy. So Control C, not Command if you're on a Mac. Control C and Control V. I'm going to end it just here, so that it's going to go between that section here, so that we know that that's our GPIO test area. That's what we're going to do in our first section. So to set up our GPIO, we're basically going to use the command import, so that we import the library from rpi.gpio as GPIO. Now you could put whatever you want here, you could call it Bob, but we're using the standard of GPIO so that we can use that throughout the thing. We're also going to, just as a thing, we're going to import time so that we can actually use the time functions to slow our processing down a bit. The final thing we're going to do is go GPIO.setMode, and we're going to use the GPIO.BCM method, which basically means we're going to use the Broadcom pin numbering, which if you look at your GPIO pinout diagram, you'll see those numbers are set inside the green boxes. So now that I've got that, I'm just going to really quickly go save this. So if I save this file now, I'm going to call it on the desktop, and I'm just going to call it my first GPIO and hit save. So right here, just so that we can see it in the terminal or in the shell over here, I'm going to go print, and in brackets I'm going to print GPIO set up complete, so that we can see that we've got that sitting there. Now we've got to set up our GPIO channels. I'm going to set up one for the time being, so I'm just going to choose one of the numbers that I know is connected to one of my motors. I don't know which at the moment, so I'm going to go GPIO.setup, and I'm going to set it up to be number 19, and it's going to be for GPIO output. So GPIO out is the command there. So once I run this, it will basically import the library. It'll enable me to address the GPIO pins using the Broadcom numbering system, and it will set up GPIO pin 19 for output, and then we can now use it in our test area. So I'm going to do in our test area, I'm going to say GPIO dot output. I'm going to output to pin 19, and I'm going to set it to GPIO.high, which will set the voltage to 3.3 volts. I'm going to go time.sleep, and I'm going to sleep for 0.5 seconds. I don't want it to go for very long at all. I just want to see what happens. And then I'm going to go GPIO.output at 19. So I'm going to turn 19 to GPIO.low. So I'm going to save that now. So I'm going to press Control and Save, not Command, but Control and Save. And I'm just going to go up here and choose Run, and choose Run Module. And I should see on the screen a few things happen. And you can see there, whoa, that was pretty quick. My robot did a bit of a burnout on one motor for a very short period of time, which is why you can see that I set it up for that period of time. You'll note that it's actually a little bit fast, and it said GPIO Setup Complete. So in this section, we're looking at how it works. If I run this again, so if I run it again, you'll see that I get a big red lot of writing on the screen here. My robot's going to do another burnout, and there you go. I've got this warning file. So I've got this warning file on my robot here, and I could turn those warnings off, but what I really need to do is right down at the end, I need to do a final thing. When I am finished with my GPIO pins, I should clean them. Now this is true for lots of things in life. So I'm going to go print GPIO finished with, and then I'm going to go GPIO.cleanup. And that will basically mean that all of the pins will be reset back to their default settings, and they won't actually get that error anymore. So I should save that now. Now then, the first time I run this, I'm going to get that error. So running it now, and finished with. But now if I run it again, run module, I should get none of those faults.